I want to do a quick video on draining my hot water heater or flushing it out. A while back, a couple weeks ago, they were doing some work on the water mains outside down the street, and ever since then, when the water heater, I guess, comes on, it sounds like gurgling or almost like rocks rattling around or just something inside. Just didn't sound right, and you could hear it. So what that means is that there's some sediment in the bottom of it, and every time the water comes on, or the heater element comes on, it kind of stirs it up and rattles it around. Now, good maintenance practice on water heaters is to flush them about once a year. Some people say 6 months, some people say longer. The most common response I've heard is about a year. I personally have, I guess, for lack of a better term, been lazy and never ever really taken that maintenance up. I'm usually a pretty good on maintenance guy, but for some reason just never did. Water heaters. So after we're getting this gurgling or rattling sound, I figured it was time to start doing this, because it's kind of annoying when you hear things rattling around in your water heater. Now this water heater is about 3 years old, if I had to guess. I'm sure the date's on there somewhere, but that's not too important. It's about 3, maybe 4 years old. Now, it's in a mobile home, and it's hooked up with PEX lines, and it's in a little water closet, which is kind of hard to get to. Lots of screws take off, double layer drywall, etc. But for the most part, they're all the same. The first thing you want to do is shut off power. Now, power can be electric, as in my case, with a wire going to it, or it can be gas. If you have a gas, you need to shut the valve off. There should be a shut-off valve close to the water heater. If not, there's usually an outside shut-off valve on the gas meter, after the gas meter, in between the gas meter and the hose. If that's your only valve, that's your only choice. But there should be one close to the hot water heater. If it's electric, you just shut off the breaker in the electric panel. And it should be labeled. If not, you're going to have to figure it out. Usually they're 220, so a 2-pole breaker. And you'll have to find it and shut it off and label it for next time. I recommend labeling your panel, all breakers in your panel, just as a safety and ease of use thing. They make a breaker sniffer, it's called, for, I want to say, $30 at any of the box stores, Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, that you plug this thing into the wall, and it won't work on a hot water heater, obviously, because there's no plug, but you plug it into the wall, and then you can run another part of the tool up and down the breakers, and it tells you which outlets are on which breakers. It's a pretty neat little tool, and I've used it to label panels that were not labeled at all, and I really recommend labeling your panels. Anyway, on to the video. This is our hot water heater. First thing you want to do is shut off power. I shut the breaker off. The reason you want to do this is because if you leave an electric hot water heater or a gas one on and you drain it and it turns on, you're going to burn out the element or heat an empty hot water heater, which is not good. It can cause damage to the heating elements. So I shut that off. Then I shut the cold water supply off. In my case, it's just a quarter turn valve. Turn it, it's off, and now there's no more water coming in. Then you hook up a garden hose to the outlet on the bottom. Now, almost all hot water heaters, I guess I should say all hot water heaters that I've seen, have this on there. One problem is if you don't do this regularly and you wait, say, 5-10 years and try and open this, I've heard of it not closing back up and having problems with it leaking. You can replace the valve, not a big deal really, but you shouldn't have too much of a problem. Hook a garden hose up, and in my case, I ran it outside. You can run it into a lower fixture, you can put it into pails and carry them outside when they're full, whatever you have to do to get the water out. Now, it took probably, this is a 40-gallon heater, took probably 20 minutes for it to empty, I want to say. Now in my case, because of the way it's plumbed, kind of silly idea, it goes back down into the ground being a mobile home, or into the belly, but what happened is you get an air leak. You can't drain it, really, like a normal one that's in a basement. Usually there's a pipe above it. The pipes come up out the top and straight up, so that you can let air in by opening a hot water faucet and say your shower on the first or second floor. Well, I don't have that option. So one option is to open this pressure release valve to let air in. Otherwise you have a vacuum. But what I did was I just lightly unscrewed the hot water outlet, which is this one right here. Just a couple turns and you could hear the air coming in after I shut the cold water off and open the bottom. And then I just sat back and relaxed, and it'll make some noise at the end. And then now it's completely empty. And I can turn the cold water on. And now it's starting to fill, but the valve's still open to let the garden hose go out. So I'm just draining some more of the sediment off the bottom, hopefully by flushing it. And I do this a couple times, let it fill a little, let it run, let it drain, let it fill some more. I just want to stir up anything I can and get it out of there, because it does cause damage and shorten the life of your water heater. So that's basically it, and then when you're done, just close up the valves, tighten everything back up, take the garden hose off. Let the water heater fill up before you turn power on. You never want to turn power on to an empty water heater. So once you shut everything off, turn the cold water back on, let it fill up completely. You can open up a valve, one of the hot water valves in, say, a faucet or a tub, to let it fill without creating a vacuum. And then once that's done, you can turn your power back on, and it takes, I don't know, probably half an hour to heat back up, whatever it is, and then you'll have hot water and you'll extend the life of your water heater. Most people don't do this. Like I said, I was neglectful and never did this, but I'm going to start doing it. It's good practice. Water heaters aren't cheap, and when they do fail, it's usually because the bottom rusts out on them. Nowadays they're built thin, and if you don't do this, the sediment sits down there, rusts away, and before you know it, the bottom comes out, and you got water all over. In my case, this happened 3 years ago. Luckily, we caught it very quickly. If we hadn't, it could have caused some major damage. But one of the things, it rusts to the bottom a hole, and then it just leaks out the bottom, and then you got a big mess, and you got to clean out. It's worth it to try and extend it. I've heard reports that they can last 20 to 25 years if you do this, and if you don't, right around 10 years is the mark for a water heater. But some people have better luck, some people have worse. It just all depends. But all in all, it can't really hurt, and overall you're going to extend the life of your water heater on average. So hopefully this video helps you. Just a little quick informative. While I was doing it, figured I'd shoot up a video. If you like it, hit the like, subscribe. If you want to see any more videos, let me know. I'm always working on cars or the house or something, and can always shoot a video or try and do requests as needed. Thank you.